What ho! Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit, and this is a recast, as it were, of a video that I put out live on Friday's Blue Please. Now, sadly, the archive for that video was lost, so rather than just leave it, I decided to re-record it for your benefit, stick it up on YouTube, put it in 720p. Looks a little nicer than the live stream, so it's all good. Now, this is the second in what was to be a series of video and audio presentations about alternatives to World of Warcraft. A lot of us have played WoW for a very long time, but with the changes in Cataclysm and the lackluster expansion over the past couple of years, a lot of us are feeling a little bit bored with the game, want to go try something else. Now, last week went into the world of EverQuest 2, and, well, it was not exactly the most impressive starting area I've ever seen. I'd like to contrast that with probably the only game that I've played for longer than a month, other than WoW, at least in terms of MMORPGs, and that's Dungeons & Dragons Online. Now, before I go on, I think we should fire up the intro movie, since any of you who have ever played a D&D pen and paper game get a bit of a kick out of this one, so sit back, relax, and enjoy.
I served in the last war. I dealt in death, it was all I knew. But with the war now ended and my home destroyed, I cast my eyes to the horizon and the city of Stormreach.
Which has a lot of floaty things.
With tales of danger and endless riches, it called to someone like me, a warrior, a mercenary, an adventurer, a lost soul.
A lover of floaty things. Silly, you're not going to find any floaty things in here.
Fortune smiled among me, for I have found many like myself, heroes from the far corners of the world, dealers of death, life, courage. We charge into the abyss, searching for the ultimate reward.
Okay, I guess you might find some floaty things in here. Probably not quite what you were looking for, but there you go. Oh, look, it's the Scorpion King.
Magic against impossible foes.
You should be well aware the Scorpion King's weakness is a very, very small knife. As opposed to, you know, a big axe that would be significantly more effective.
Will this adventure be my last?
Beholders, right there. Best thing about Dungeons & Dragons. Well, that and gelatinous cubes.
Now storms gather on the horizon. Evil rises from the waters of despair and misery.
Once. Just once. I would like to visit the waters of happiness and love. Okay, giant thing. End. Right. Doesn't really tell you much, but hey, there you go. It's cool nonetheless. So yeah, dungeons. There are dungeons. There were no dragons in that video for some reason, but there you go. It's best to describe the game as literally Dungeons and Dragons. There are a lot of dungeons, and there are some dragons. Perhaps not as many dragons as there are dungeons. There's a little bit of variety in there, but there are plenty of dragons nonetheless. So, I'm going to take you through the character creation of this game, and I'm going to show you the starting area, which I must admit is significantly more impressive than EverQuest 2, and actually couldn't think of any other MMO that I've played thus far. Now, we'll have a look at the character creation. So, this is fairly in-depth, and the first thing to warn you about in this character creation is that you can screw up bad. This game does have respecs, but they are not readily available, as in you either have to buy them with turbine points, which can be earned if you're a subscriber, or paid for with cash if you are one of the free-to-play customers. You've also got a Reincarnation, which allows you to reset everything. The problem with Reincarnation is it also kills your character and resets you to level 1, so I think a bit of Modern Warfare prestige there if you so desire. Whatever the case, you don't want to screw your character up, so you do have a set of preset paths you can take. So let me just show you the different classes available. So they're split down to 3 basic subtypes: melee, spell, and a specialist. Let's have a look at melee. So you've got fighter, who, well, big armor, big shields, very much your tank, although not the only one. Barbarians, well, DPS warriors, two-handers specifically, big on the hits. Very, very unpleasant indeed. But they can still soak up quite a bit of damage. Now, this game doesn't have the same sort of aggro and tanking system as you might expect from other MMOs, but I'll explain that in a moment. Paladins. Offense and defense. Pretty tough nonetheless. They've got some healing. They're not the best healers in the game, though, by any stretch. Pretty good, though. And the monk. Unarmed fighters. They do martial arts. And they've also got a number of buffs and pretty neat abilities. Let's have a look at the other set. Spellcasters. Sorcerers. Sorcerers and wizards are fairly similar. Wizards have a larger selection of spells available and can get the most powerful spells, but they can't cast them as many times. Sorcerers really big on having a lot of spell points, nuking a small number of fairly powerful spells, whereas the wizard, big spells, a lot of selection available there, but they can't cast as much. Mana is an issue in this game, and I'll come on to that when we actually go into the first dungeon. Clerics, big healers. These are your WoW paladins, effectively. Big healers, big armor, and they are the best class against undead. And Favored Soul, which is... it's difficult to explain. Sort of a bit like a Retribution paladin. They are the sorcerer version of Clerics, really. One way or the other, they're fairly neat, and when I played one of these in the beta, I was able to solo an awful lot of different things. Now, Specialist. Let's have a look at this. You got your Ranger, you got your Rogue, and your Bard. Rangers. Big into dual wielding. Dual wielding is quite tricky in this game. You actually have to learn a feat for it, unless you're a Ranger. Well, you do get that. If you try and dual wield as another class and you don't have the feat for it, then enjoy missing a lot. Rogues. Not quite the same as Rogues in World of Warcraft. They've got a lot more utility. Disarming traps, unlocking doors, searching for various things. They're very good at that. Also, they've got stealth. They can do backstabbing. They can do high damage, but they are extremely squishy. So you want to watch out for that. Always nice to have a rogue in your party when you're doing the harder dungeons, simply because if you start triggering traps all over the place, you'll be very dead very fast. And the Bard. This is the one that I actually play. The Bard is primarily a buffing and crowd control class. Can play a number of songs which allow you to buff your party, and you can also fascinate and mind control enemies. They're fairly good at range, but they're also fairly good in melee. Sort of jack of all trades with a focus on party buffs. Always nice to have a Bard in your 6-man or 12-man dungeon. Okay, for the time being, we're going to set up with something nice and basic. I'm going to show you the fighting system primarily, so I think we're going to go with a Barbarian. There we go. Now that is one badass looking Barbarian. Okay, path. Now, this is, if you are new to the game, it is a good idea to use one of these. This allows the game to auto-pick the majority of your leveling up feats and enhancements and things for you. Because, of course, if you don't get it right, then you can completely gimp your character. It's a risky venture. So, if you customize, then you can build entirely from scratch, and there's a huge amount of flexibility. If you're going to do that, then for God's sake, go to the DDO wiki and have a look at what it has to say about various different builds. Otherwise, pick one of these. So, these are all based around different things. The Bastion of the Outlands is based around a little bit of off-tanking and also stun resistance and things like that. This is a sort of DPS-orientated build whereby you're doing massive two-handed damage, and this one is actually a dual-wield build. I'm going to go with this one right here, which is the big damage two-hander build. Okay, race. You have 6 available. Race and class choice do matter an awful lot in this game, way more than WoW, and you do have to watch out for which one you go for. There are certain race class combinations that are simply not a good idea, and the reason for that is stats. Any of you familiar with D&D, you'll know exactly what we're talking about here. Stats sort of range from 3 up to about 18. You can certainly go higher than that, but that's a general sort of idea for the start of it. Human, Barbarian with this spec. That's the stats you've got right there. You can customize, but again, that involves picking that in the path option. Right here, this is built up to be a big, heavy damage two-handed fighter. A lot of strength, a lot of dexterity, and a reasonable amount of constitution as well. Very low in the intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You can also see the feats that we've got here. Two-handed fighting and toughness. Two-handed fighting gives you a damage boost as well as grants a small chance for weapon effects to trigger on glancing blows. Also toughness, an additional 3 hit points at the first level and 1 additional hit point for every additional level. Doesn't sound like a lot, but again, this is Dungeons & Dragons. You're dealing with smaller stats than you're used to in other games. No 20 to 80k HP characters here. So, choice-wise, Human's pretty good. Human is not a bad choice at all. Again, you get information about what they give you. They give you a bonus feat to start with, which is quite nice. No real weaknesses. Warforged, very nice indeed, but also quite difficult to heal. Not good on the wisdom and charisma department, but very tough. If we have a look at these stats there, Constitution a lot higher, 2 higher indeed than the Human. Dwarf's a reasonable bet. Again, they're fairly hardy. They're resistant to magic, which is always nice. Magic does huge amount of damage in this game, so you do really want to watch out for that. So that's not too bad either. Halfling, not so great. Lower strength. So really a Halfling Barbarian, not going to get you all that far in this game. You could do it, but it's suboptimal. I think we'll go with a dwarf for the time being. Why not? There we go. Nice, beardy, ugly dwarf. It's nice that you can create ugly characters in this game. There's so many games these days, particularly the Eastern and Asian MMOs, that just insist on you having beautiful characters. No, this is an ugly bastard of a dwarf with a pair of glasses on. You know what? I'm perfectly happy with that. You can customize a bunch of different stuff, as you can see there. Screw around with the hair. Skin color as well. It's very odd-looking skin colors, let's be totally honest. There's a lot of customization. Even within the actual color blocks themselves, there are multiple settings available. There we go. I look ridiculous. That works perfectly fine for me. And let's name and a first name. So, well, name and a surname even. Somehow I feel that this will not be available. Oh, yes indeed. There we go. Sorted. Now, sadly, you don't get the armor that you're given there. You start off in a bunch of rags, and you'll see why in a moment. Okay, I'm going to take you into the game. I'm going to show you the starting area, so here we go. Now, those of you familiar with D&D will also be familiar with the setting of Eberron. This is where we are in this particular game. There are airships. That's all you need to know. You can finish loading now. No, really. There we go. Ah, excellent. A British stereotype. Tips, as you might imagine. Move with WASD keys. No...
Speak to me.
Yes, okay, shut up. I'm trying to explain this. So, you are on an island. And it's...
Awake. Oi, you ain't undead, are you?
Wow, shut up.
Can you talk? Speak to me.
I really want to stab that guy. Unfortunately, I have nothing I can do that with. I could try and punch him in the face, but... Oh, look, a white dragon. Yes, indeed, that's the reason it's snowing here. And indeed, that white dragon is part of the plot that ties the whole starting area together. And one of the reasons why the starting area is particularly impressive. Now, this game was upgraded with DirectX 10 effects, which means it's got very nice water lighting.
Speak to me.
Oh, good Lord in heaven. Great lighting effects, and overall not a bad-looking game at all. Much more realistic-looking than other games. Doesn't have the sort of charm of World of Warcraft or Warhammer Online, but it's not too shabby. Okay, I will talk to you, you attention-seeking whorebag. Are you looking for survivors or looking buddies? You can skip this entirely when starting a new character, which is very nice indeed. Okay, so you pick a request the same way as you might expect. And yes, there is quite a bit of voice acting in this game. A lot more in the starting area. You know, this is just to make sure you're not being bait and switched here. There's a lot more voice acting in this starting area. A little bit too much, as you can clearly see, than there is in the rest of the game.
Here we are. So you want a weapon or not?
Actually, I'd rather just punch these crates. Yes, indeed. A lot of destructible objects in this game, as in, well, a lot of pen and paper. Search everywhere. There is stuff. Here's some cash and some potions and all that kind of thing. And it's a nice looking starting area. I like it. Okay, so we're going to talk to him about a weapon. Great axe.
Go ahead. Give it a few swings.
We will do. But first, let me show you what other weapons I can use. So, weapon skills are class-based, although it is fairly easy to learn a single weapon skill as any class. So if you want something weird, like for instance, my bard has an exotic weapon called a heavy repeater. That is not a standard setup. You have to learn that specifically. You've got to spend a skill on that. So these are the skills available. These are all generic. All characters have these. You can do a wide variety of different things, and they affect stuff from the mundane to the really useful. Say, use magical device. That's incredibly useful. Allows you to use magical items and all that kind of thing. My bard is great at it, and this barbarian is absolutely terrible at it. Perform, that's purely, well, a bard skill, really. There's no need for it. It's used a very small amount by other classes, but there's no point. Jump. Yes, indeed, there is a skill that actually covers jump, and it does allow you to jump higher. Jumping does matter in this game because there is actually some mild platforming in some dungeons. Concentration, bluff, balance, diplomacy, all sorts of different things available here. And you can explore those to your leisure. Okay, feats. Let's have a look at this. This is what I can do. Now, I'm a dwarf, so I get a exotic weapon proficiency in a dwarven war axe. That might be worth it. Also, martial weapon proficiency. Oh, look at all of these. Battle axe, falchion, great axe, great club, great sword, hand axe, heavy pick, kukri, light hammer, light pick, longbow, longsword, maul, rapier, scimitar, short sword, short bow, throwing axe, throwing hammer, and warhammer. And you might think, oh, well, that's quite a few. But there's more! Yeah, as you can see. There are a ton of weapon types in this game, and each of them performs in a different way. Now, I'd like to talk to him and see if he actually can give me a dwarven war axe. But firstly, I've got to equip it and swing it around. Okay, here's my starter war axe, which looks a little bit like a spade. Give it a swing. There you go. Now, you'll see later the combat system is fairly hack and slash based. It's not about pressing hotkey abilities, it is about getting in there, getting stuck in, and swinging with the left mouse button. Do a lot of damage that way. Okay, I'm going to talk to him and see if maybe there's another weapon I can get. Can I get Dwarven War Axe? No, I can't. I'll have to look into that a little bit later. Let's try a heavy mace. Maybe a show of this one. There we go. So that's a one-hander right there. Fairly basic. Talk to him again, get the great axe back.
Go ahead, give it a few swings.
Now the stats on the weapons, let's have a look at this, because this is something you'll really need to know if you're intending to go into DDO at any point. The weapons have a number of different stats, and perhaps one of the most important is its actual damage. Now, all damage in this game is based on dice rolls, and you actually see a d20 in the bottom right of the screen every time you swing, which is a neat feature. So it'll roll at random, and then there is a plus bonus based on various modifiers, including your strength, how good the weapon is, and all that kind of thing. So this great axe is modified by my strength, and because of the amount of strength I have, I get a +4 modifier to this. So it swings for 1d12, and there's also a +4 modifier on that as well. I will hit something with it a little bit later on. Is there anything else you need to look at on that? Well, not really, because this is a very basic weapon. There is also the critical roll right there. It tells you what you need to roll in order to get a critical hit, and more importantly, what the crit bonus is. Each weapon is different in this regard, and you should be looking into that, because it is very handy to know. Okay. Now, asked us to go to a cave.
Tell her to keep her knickers on.
Oh, could you be any more stereotypical? I could talk to him about the plot regarding all sorts of things. There's no real point. But if you want to get into the story, it's a fairly good idea. There you go. Let's break some crates and see what we can find. A couple of potions there. Just pick them up as you might imagine. Okay, let's have a look at the hotbar briefly and see what is available. So, I'm a barbarian, so I have rage. And this gives me a +4 to strength and constitution, as well as will saves and all that kind of thing. It ruins your armor class, so you're going to get hit a lot more and for a lot more damage, but it's a nice ability nonetheless. Now, you see there's a little 1 there. Now, abilities in this game can be they're not based on time cooldowns, a lot of them. Anything with a number like that has a set number of charges, which has to be recharged at a so-called rest shrine. Now, we'll see a rest shrine a little bit later on, but what I will say to start with is that the health and mana systems of this game are not the same as World of Warcraft, and you'll realize that fairly soon. Now, I am a barbarian, so I don't have mana. What I will say is that you do not get mana back. You don't recharge it. You can't drink for mana in the way that you can in World of Warcraft. So mana is a limited resource that can be recharged only in certain places. Okay, enough of the breaking crates, I think. Right, now you see these little squiggly things right here. These are markers for entering an instance, and most of this game is instanced. Most of it is based in dungeons. Pretty much every quest. Almost every quest. So here we go. You'll see there are 5 selectable difficulties, but since we're on the first mission, it only allows you to select Solo. Solo is the easiest mode. There is Normal, Hard, Elite, and Epic. Elite is generally unlocked after you've beaten Hard. Hard is designed for either really good solo players that maybe overlevel the instance, or a group, and Epic is only unlocked when you reach level 20, which is the level cap in this game. So, in we go. Now, what's kind of neat is that each dungeon does have a custom load screen that gives you just a little bit of information about what you're going into.
Is this Selimas, the cleric you were sent to find?
Yes, indeed. You just heard that. That is the Dungeon Master. Now, as far as I've seen thus far, I'm level 6 now in the game, and I have heard 2 different Dungeon Masters. They got a different voice actor for this particular area, and then they've got one for the main game. Both of them, they act in a very cheesy manner, the same way that you would expect a Dungeon Master to act in a real pen and paper game. It adds a nice sense of immersion, and it also warns you of incoming danger and gives you clues to the various puzzles and challenges you're going to come across in the game.
Who in Kyber are you?
I'm a dwarf wearing a sack. What does it look like? I am the Barbarian High to you. A dragon attacked my ship, and I alone survived. I then met your companions, who asked me to protect you until they arrive. Yes, there you go. Voice. Now, there's a bunch of information here. We are here to attack the Sahuagin, also known as Naga. Well, at least they look like Naga. Yes, we don't really want to have a conversation with her.
First, I shall surround us with a protection spell.
Her spell temporarily prevents you from dying, though you can still suffer injuries.
Man, I would have loved to voice act this. Would have been hilarious. Like, so, what kind of accent and delivery are you looking for? Well, as cheesy as possible. One of the many dungeons you will see in this game.
There must be a way to open it. Try up that ladder. I'll
Yep.
remain here and bash any Sahuagin trying to sneak out.
Basic sort of tutorial stuff, as you might imagine. But to be honest, this is a really nice and strong starting dungeon. It shows you a lot of the game, and it gives you an impression of what you're about to get into.
Of some creature coming from the corridor ahead.
Okay, fighting time. Right, we'll have a little look at our hotbar before we go in there. This is funny. Everyone can sneak in this game. They're just not necessarily very good at it. So yes, I'm a sneaky, sneaky dwarven barbarian. I have seen people do this. I have seen people create warforged rogues. Yeah, it's that silly, but it's nice to have that flexibility in those options. Like, yeah, you can do that. You're just going to be terrible at it. Sneaky, sneaky. Okay, the other stuff. Sunder. Well, if you played WoW, you know what this is. It's an armor class reduction. You can trip people over. If you actually succeed, then they fall on the ground and you can beat the crap out of them. Rage we've seen, and that allows you to turn off rage. There's a defensive fighting mode, which almost everybody gets. That means you trade some of your attack bonus for some armor class. Intimidate, which is taunt, which again, that's a learnable skill for basically everybody in this game. So there is a line blurred, particularly between different classes, in that you can tank with almost any class, just don't expect to be very good at it if you're, say, a sorcerer or a wizard. It's just nice to have that flexibility. Now, you see there, an aged Sahuagin warrior. He is in the bottom right of the screen there, in the little portrait. There is something called CR, which is combat rank. It gives you a rough idea of the level of creature you're about to attack. Okay. We are succeeding in sneaking up on him. Let's see if we can trip him over. Yes, we can. Okay, we just kill him. That works too.
Most likely controls the gate where the cleric Selimas is waiting.
Now, I must say, this is Dungeon Master of the obvious just a little bit at times.
Good job, but no time to dawdle.
Oh look, the stereotype's back.
Onward to glory.
Pip a bloody pip.
Honked at me. Thanks for putting in the good word.
I'm pretty sure honked isn't even a
Don't you
word over
worry,
here.
Selemus. I'm here to watch your behind now.
Jesus. To be fair, that is a fair depiction of several D&D players that I know.
Worgen are behind this door. I'll take point. Talbron, cover me with your spells. Jeets, kill anything that tries to flank us. You, open the door.
Thanks. Gonna be a glorified porter.
Charge! What, it's empty?
Now you look like an idiot.
Where's the bloody Sahuagin?
Look, the door closed behind us.
It would be logical to assume
Indeed. Smack him about a bit. Get back here. Alright, as I say, this is sort of a hack and slash style, so get into swinging range and beat the crap out of everything.
There are more of them up there. Stay alert.
Now, as you might imagine, this is extremely easy.
Wicked!
On harder difficulty levels, if you are getting hit by something you're not supposed to be getting hit by, you will die extremely fast. On this, not so much. Now, the combat system has a number of interesting things, like you can dodge,
So
as I'm showing here.
Are you scared of me? Come down and fight.
You can also flank and attack from the rear.
The righteous smite you!
See there, get behind them, you do extra damage. Now what this game does also have is a collision detection system, so physically blocking a doorway can work.
Can't pick this. Anyone see a key?
curious. I just stepped on something. A latch?
Good work. I see a key down there. Who's up for a swim?
That would be me. Okay, swimming.
Hydrophobia mean anything to you?
Bloody useless adventurer. Okay, go swimming. So swimming's actually a skill, funnily enough, and I would not recommend swimming in full plate. Tends to make you drown a bit. However, I'm wearing a sack.
You grab the silver key. Time to swim for the surface.
Now, the nice thing about this game
Coming, Andy. This way.
is that the starting area, it's more like a single-player RPG. And indeed, a lot of the dungeons act like single-player RPGs as well. And I prefer doing dungeons to questing in an open world. I think if you like an open world, I'll be honest, WoW is far superior to this game. If you like dungeons, on the other hand, with loot and traps and hidden doors and lots of violence, then this game may be for you. Let's go sort this out. Bloody high tech for Swagi. I can't even say the name. Naga. Okay, rest shrine.
I still got plenty of stamina. I can go all night long.
Why don't
Jesus.
you scout ahead then? Just don't get yourself in trouble.
Now you're talking. I'll take a little peek.
Or please just fall down a well, that works too. Okay, rest shrine mechanics. So you regen mana at these things. Obviously I don't have mana, you also regenerate health. Once you use one of these, your rest shrine goes on cooldown. On the harder difficulties, it takes a long time to go off cooldown. On the less difficult, well, you can use it multiple times in the same run. So you've got to be very, very careful about what you use. The other way of getting well, there's two other ways of getting health back. You can be healed with healing spells, or you can use potions. Always nice to keep a few of those around. Mana potions, on the other hand, those are expensive. So it's always best to portion out your mana in just a sensible way, really. You don't want to be pissing it away. Okay, so let's sit down here. The other shrine allows you to resurrect, and the resurrection mechanic involves somebody picking up your soul stone if you die, running you back to the shrine, and then you, as a ghost, actually click on it. Or you can resurrect outside the dungeon.
Scout ahead with Jeets.
There are penalties for death, as you might imagine.
Crikey.
Yes, you go deal with that. Traps. Traps are a big deal in this game, and they're often not as obvious as that. Traps can kill you, some instantly. You want a rogue to look ahead to try and find the traps and disarm them.
You can open the door now.
And in the new update, they're going to be able to make their own, which is kind of neat. Traps really add a nice element to the dungeons. At the lower levels, they're not randomized, but I have heard that at higher levels, yes, some of the traps can be in random places. We actually had a situation last night. We went into a dungeon, we found a rest shrine that we desperately needed, and upon opening the door, a fire trap went off and killed half the party. Bastards. We'll have a look around, see what we can see.
It's time for us to go. The High Priestess should be up ahead. The onus for much suffering rests squarely upon her slimy, webbed hands. There she is, performing some kind of profane blood magic.
You sound very upset about this.
Prepare yourself. Ready? Go.
Okay. Kick the crap out of everything. That's the order of the day. Shouldn't be too hard. Because, yeah, a lot of pain. Saved against trip, unfortunately. Let's go berserk. There we go. Lots of big damage. You see the dice rolls over there. It'll show you where the misses and hits are. It's also a fairly detailed combat log.
There's a secret passage around here somewhere leading to Korthos. You boys look for it. I must cleanse the profane energies around the shrine.
Basically, I'm going to be lazy.
Let's do our thing. You and I'll take care of the important stuff. The treasure.
Yes, indeed. Generally speaking, after killing a boss enemy, there will be a treasure chest which has randomly generated loot in it. In this case, it's preset because this is the starting area. Everyone gets loot out of these kind of things. Huh, an ember shortbow. How handy, as well as a battle-worn chain shirt. Yes, indeed. That is a weapon that is on fire. Always nice. Not a particularly good fire weapon, but it's nice to start with. It's also a masterwork weapon, which means it gives you a +1 bonus to hit. Very neat. Yoink. Okay, let's get out of the sack, shall we? Yes, it does take a little bit of time to actually equip things. I'm so reluctant to say realism in a game where there are dragons, gnolls, and gelatinous cubes, but they do take it a little bit more seriously than most other MMO games, which is kind of neat if you're sick of how simple WoW can be sometimes. Okay, so I have a short bow. Not particularly good with it, but I do have one nonetheless. So I can shoot things with that if I so wish.
There's something fishy in this room.
This is actually based around manual aiming. As you can see, you've got a crosshair there. It doesn't require exact aim, but you've got to be fairly careful with it nonetheless. The cool thing is that the range on this thing is ridiculous. If that were an enemy, I'd be able to hit him from there very easily indeed. Okay, hidden doors.
Stiff draft from somewhere in this room. Perhaps the hidden passage to the village is in here.
Generally speaking, they don't give you those kind of clues all the time, but in this case, since it's a starting area, it's saying you use your search ability. Now, Barbarian's not particularly good at search. The governing statistic for search is intelligence, and I'm not too hot on that. So what you'll generally have is a guy who is really trained in search. Rogues usually have it, and some of the caster classes big into it as well. Have a look around. And if you find anything hidden when searching, it will be revealed.
Found the secret
Like so.
passage? Go on, open it then. Brilliant. Tidy lasses and pints up the wazoo. Here I come.
We're
Oh,
almost
please
there.
leave.
The way out is up ahead. But first, I want to reward you for your assistance.
Ooh, stuff, excellent.
Please come speak with me.
There we go. Everything is best when it's on fire. That's the idea this game has. There are some ridiculous weapon combinations in this game. You think a weapon that's on fire at this level is silly? Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. Weapon choice far more interesting than other games that I've played. There we go. An axe that is on fire. Perfect. Still looks like a spade, but I'll live with it. Okay, and that is the starting dungeon. So we'll go out, I'll show you a little bit of Korthos Village and explain a couple of other concepts, then I'll leave it there since this has gone on long enough for the time being. Now this is a main quest hub, and this is not instanced per se. And there are instances such as if there are too many people in one area, it'll create another version of it. Plenty of games do that. In this case, there are no other versions of this one, so everyone who is in this area you will be able to see. So this is a traditional MMO area, just a sort of small village city quest hub. A lot of quests available. You see the little goblets above where you can pick up a quest, and quest hand in with the little tick right there. That advances the story quest, and it unlocks a whole bunch of others. So we'll go and have a look around and see what we can see. What you'll find here, there are a number of trainers available, and I don't need to use one of those quite yet, but they will teach you your various enhancements. Let me tell you a little bit about leveling, because we haven't actually hit level 2 yet, because that will take quite a while. So levels are subdivided down into ranks, and there are 5 ranks per level. So I'm level 1, rank 1. So if I gain 1,000 experience, I have 910, then I will reach rank 2, which is like a mini level. Mini levels allow you to gain enhancement points, which you can spend on a number of smaller benefits. Now, some enhancements take only a single point, so you can pick them straight away. Some enhancements take multiple points. Think talents, but in some cases a little bit more significant. Now, with actual levels, you can gain feats, spells, and new abilities, and you have to gain 5 ranks in order to gain that. And these little dots right here will indicate as to whether or not you have gained a rank and how far you have to go to get to the next one. Now, as you might expect, there are also your standard run-of-the-mill vendors here, so if I have any rubbish that I want to get rid of, well, no problem at all. As it happens, I do not. Do I need to repair anything? I don't need to do that either. Didn't take any damage that justified repairing things. It's always good. A lot of different things available, as you can see. Now, outside of here, which I can't show you yet because you're locked out of it for the time being, is the actual Korthos Island. This is another type of area in the game. It's called an adventure area. Now, the adventure area allows you to run around in an instanced version of a rather large open world where you have a number of subquests that you can do should you choose to. There are Slayer quests, which is basically kill X number of this creature, and it gives you a stacking amount of experience every time you reach a milestone, so say 5, 10, 25, etc., etc. There is also an exploration quest, which is pretty interesting because it has you look for various landmarks in the area, and it gives you a little bit of story and voice acting every time you find one. There are often loot chests there as well, so that's kind of nice. And also, there is a hunting quest which allows you to look for elite monsters, which sometimes spawn and sometimes don't. They're often fairly rare spawns. And if you kill those, you get an XP bonus per one you kill, and I believe you get a bonus at the end for killing all of them. Now, those are optional quests. They're kind of nice to do when you're going around, because in the adventure area, there are also a ton of dungeons and side quests that you can pick up. So, if you want to just kill some stuff, you'll get experience for that as well. It's the only time you'll actually get experience for just killing mobs. Everything that you do to get experience in this game is based around questing. So, if you kill an individual mob in a dungeon, you will get no experience for that whatsoever. What you will get is experience at the end of the dungeon. I'm going to go into another one just to show you how the experience system works, because it is fairly interesting. It's a little bit different to what you'll have seen in other games. Okay, dragons, yes. Go to the storehouse, okay. Now, funnily enough, this one, as I recall, actually has a puzzle in it, so this will be kind of neat to show you. Where is it? It's all the way up here, I think. Have a look at the map. There we go. Again, you want to be looking for these little squiggles. Usually, to go into a dungeon like this, you need the associated quest, so just bear that in mind. Okay, we've got 3 difficulty settings available to us, and a 4th is unlockable if I beat hard. Now, you can get so-called hirelings if you like to solo, and this game isn't really based around that, but if you like to solo, you can get hirelings. You pay for them. They're basically AI-controlled party members. Now, we'll go in there on normal. We should be fine. That is one ugly-looking rat.
Dust and mold fill this ill-maintained storehouse. You can hear the telltale skittering of vermin nearby.
Okay, let's have a look at this. This is your scorecard. Now, this will indicate how much experience you get based on certain conditions. So, this is the first time I've been into it on normal difficulty. Dungeons in this game are designed to be repeated multiple times, although not as many as, say, WoW, where you may have been in Scholarman's 50 times. Generally speaking, you want to go in on each difficulty once, because they'll give you a 25% bonus for doing it the first time on a specific difficulty. There is a penalty every time you go in on the same difficulty level, so grinding is not really encouraged per se. Do it a few times and then leave it for another one. You don't even have to do that I mean, at the start of the game, when they first brought this out, there was a criminal lack of content, so you had to repeat things ad infinitum. But now, not so much. There's an awful lot more content available. So I get a 25% bonus there. That's how much experience I would get, and this is my scorecard. Now, this does matter because, first, you want to be looking at your monsters killed. If you kill all of the monsters in a dungeon, you gain a experience bonus. You know, it's kind of like the completion of, say, a Doom 2 level. You know, you get your how many monsters you killed and all that kind of thing. How many secrets you discovered. Again, you get bonuses for that. If there are secret doors available here, if I find them, I'll get an experience percentile-based bonus. Also, breakables smashed. Yes, indeed. If you smash stuff, you get a bonus for that, as well as trap disabling. And last but by no means least, flawless victory bonus and persistence bonus. So if you don't retry the dungeon, you get a bonus for that, and of course for getting no deaths. That is a spider. Let's hit it with the fiery stick. There we go. And it even has incidental combat music. There's actually a lot of music in this game. Some of it's very weird, but it works. It's very suitable for a Dungeons and Dragons game. Now, there is, like I said, there's a little bit of platforming around on some of these things, and sometimes it's worth doing this. Yes, you can actually jump and hang, which is great. And depending on how big your jump skill is, it depends on how high you can go. So some characters can reach places that others cannot. You'll often find chests and breakables and secrets in those kind of areas. Each of these dungeons is handcrafted to give you a cool dungeon crawling experience. I'm not saying that they're all good, because they're not, but a lot of them really are. They're a lot of fun, and they just give you that vibe that you may have gotten from doing some of the really old-school dungeon crawling games, whether it be pen and paper or on a computer.
This appears to be the main story. It seems the villagers have been preparing for a protracted siege.
Undead rats. Gotta love it. Now, if I can't recall how long this actually goes on. I believe you have to get a key of some description, so I'm probably not going to bother finishing it, just because if the key doesn't drop... It's in one of these barrels, if I recall correctly. If I can't find it, then it's going to take ages to do. But whatever the case, I think I've really shown you all I wanted to in this starting area here. Now, this game is free. You can play it with a certain number of restrictions. If you don't pay for it on a subscription basis, then you've got this right here, which is the DDO store. The DDO store, you have to buy turbine points, which can be used to unlock a variety of different things. You can get experience boosts, you can get items from here as well, although they're generally not that great. And you can get some fairly powerful stuff, but they're always outdone by what you'll find in the world. Now, if you are a subscriber, you get all of the quests, no problem at all. If you're not, then you have to buy these quest packs right here, which cost a certain number of turbine points. Alternatively, you can have one of your friends who is a subscriber or has points buy you a guest pass, and they can grant you the guest pass, which will give you a certain amount of time in a particular adventure. So people who subscribe can support their friends if they, say, don't have the money to subscribe, or, well, just don't want to, or maybe they're just trying the game casually. It's a interesting model. They went over to it last year, and before that, the game wasn't doing very well. Now I've heard that it's one of the most popular MMOs around at the minute, so grats to them. I haven't found the system to be too obnoxious. I'm a subscriber, so I'm not too bothered about it. I get points every month, which come gratis as part of the subscription package, and it allows me to get a whole bunch of cool things. So, say, for instance, on some of my other characters, I bought some XP boost potions, as well as loot crystals, which up the level of the loot by one when I get a chest. So, it's kind of neat to find some cool items. There are some neat cosmetic things. I've got a bandana. I've also got a hat, which looks like a rabbit. Hey, there you go. But even they give you some minor benefits, like the rabbit hat gives you +5 to jump. Overall, I think Turbine have crafted a really nice game here. They've got a lot of experience. I mean, they've done Lord of the Rings Online, which is also going free to play soon. They did Asheron's Call, which was widely regarded as one of the best MMORPGs back in the days of EverQuest. And, of course, they've got this one, which is Dungeons and Dragons Online, Eberron Unlimited. I would highly recommend you give it a try. I've got a referral link on my page right there if you do want to join there. It gives me a couple of bonus points. Full disclosure, of course. If you don't want to, by all means, I do not blame you at all. But, hey, if you like this video and you want to give this a try, we do have a guild. It's called Cynical Brit over on Argonesian US. I would recommend that you give it a bash because you never know. It's a nice break from World of Warcraft. It's very different. It's a little bit more advanced, and hey, it's free, so give it a bash. My name's been TotalBiscuit, and this has been a little bit of a walkthrough of Dungeons & Dragons Online, first shown over on Blue Please on Friday on CynicalBrit.com. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.